My name is Frank Cardoza, and I got out of the Navy, the regular Navy, as a petty officer second class. Went back to San Diego a month later, and we started commencing operations off the coast, but not too many before we were assigned to the yard in Long Beach. The ship was refurbished in Long Beach. We went into dry dock. The engines were replaced. We chipped paint. We painted the ship. We started cleaning up, trying to renovate it a little bit more, and this was in 1976. I was fortunate enough to get sent to another school while we were in Long Beach, so I was assigned to teletype repair school in San Diego, where I spent another 4 or 5 weeks. So I missed the final shakedown of the ship after it was taken out of dry dock and reassigned back to shake the bugs out before going back to San Diego. Upon graduating from teletype repair school, I went back to the ship, reassigned to the ship, and we made preparations to get back underway again to make another Western Pacific cruise. So again, we hit the same ports. We went to Pearl Harbor, Guam, went to Japan. We had an opportunity this time to go to Borneo, where I had the opportunity to be a coach for the ship's basketball team. We got to play members of the, if I remember right, the Borneo basketball team of the Hilton Hotel. We had a good time because we really mingled with the civilians there. We played basketball under international rules. I also left out that we also escorted 2 Fiji ships. We went to Seattle before heading to Pearl Harbor. The Navy had given 2 minesweepers to the Fiji Navy. Now, those of you that don't know where Fiji is at, it's way in the southern Pacific, south of the equator. So we escorted the boats out of Seattle to Pearl Harbor, from Pearl Harbor down to Fiji, and that was interesting duty. They followed us, and we went through the equator. There was an old Navy tradition. When you crossed the equator, you were initiated into the realm of Neptune. So I was a shellback, and I was initiated into this realm in 1975, and in 1976 I went again, and this time I got to initiate the newbies into it. Of course, the Navy no longer does that because it was a form of hazing. So old traditions die as the Navy develops and modernizes, and attitudes change. So after we turned over the ships to Fiji, we went up and back to the Philippines, and my time in the Navy was coming to an end because I had already served my 4 years in the Navy. I made second class, radioman second class, and I was now the senior radioman in the radio shack. So I tried to work out an agreement because I had been newly married, and that was one of the reasons that I was pushing to stay as a second class and earn some money. And before, I didn't believe in marrying early. For those of you that whoever reviews this tape, my advice to you is don't get married early on, because you're not going to be able to afford it. And that's a reality. I see, even to this day, I see younger enlisted, lower enlisted people on food stamps because they have children, they have a family to support, and the military pay is just not enough. I saw this back then, and I see it now, 40 years later. So I made second, and I extended for the cruise to go on this Westpac in 1976. And when my 6 months were up, we just couldn't come to an agreement. So I decided to part ways, and I was discharged in Subic Bay and headed back to San Francisco. My last ride on an aircraft was a 26-hour ride from Subic Bay to Clark Air Force Base to Japan, and from Japan we picked up dependents 26 hours of baby crying. It was an experience. We landed in Guam, and unfortunately none of them unloaded because, you know, the dependents were headed back to the United States, back to Conus. We landed in Pearl Harbor and then took off, and I was left off in San Francisco where I was discharged from the Navy. I didn't give up my career at that time because I decided, well, you know, I have a year and a half left. Why not go reserves in case something else came